Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, smash that subscribe button. The channel has been growing really well lately, and we can't thank y'all enough. Also, leave those alerts on. Those help a lot. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out also on Reddit and Discord, and leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
Let's get right into it with Bomber Talk, brought to you by, brought to y'all by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, or the field, or in the stands with a custom airbrushed helmet, goalie mask, or any project. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431.
Oh, yeah. And don't forget to tell them Ray and Benny sent you.
These intros have been tough. It's because the Bombers are now 0-4. Starting off, it's tough. And we're going to start off with the Blue Bombers and their loss against the Stampeders. What's your number one concern after the Stampeder game?
Goodness, what is going on with the Bombers this year? This is unreal. For me at this point is their inability to pull off the victory. They've been in these games, and this was last year. Remember, so many close games where the Bombers found a way to win at the end. This year, it's not happening for them. I mean, you were down at the 7 against Ottawa. You couldn't pull it off. You know, you had a chance for a late drive, just missing Dembski on a deep throw. And this one, Streveler comes up, makes a great drive to send this game into overtime, and then they follow it up with a great play to start overtime with 2 plays, and one ends up in an interception. Calgary ends up winning the game. So for me, it's like the Bombers have lost their way to figure out how to win these games, which they were winning over the last 4 seasons. And it's kind of concerning at this point because these are winnable games. Like Calgary and Ottawa should have been wins. BC a bit of a tougher team, and who knows what would have happened at the end, even if Bombers scored in that one. But yeah, it's concerning to me that they're not finding ways to pull these victories off.
Yeah, mine's also on the offense. I'm actually very pleased or very impressed, to be honest with you, with how the defense is rolling, especially with all those injuries. And yes, the offense is dealing with injuries as well. But this offense does not have an identity. And of course, yes, of course, it's hard to get an identity when you lose 2 of the top offensive weapons in the CFL. Definitely, Lawler and Schoen, they're in the top 15 as offensive weapons. You lose them. So yes, but that O-line has looked horrible. And in conjunction with the O-line looking horrible, Buck Pierce has not found any kind of game plan that'll help this O-line. Like, and you know I'm going to say it. You know I'm going to say it until they do it, because I know it's going to help. If they don't play the heavy set this week, it's ridiculousness. They have a 5-man front that is not protecting Caleros, is not giving him enough time. We saw Caleros get hammered, and everyone held their breath like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? By what, a 300-pound defensive lineman coming full bore into the guy, maybe helmet first, maybe spearing. I don't know what that is. But at the same time, the protection is horrible. And yes, we're going to talk about Brady Oliveira coming up and him not running the ball and only getting a few carries. But if he doesn't have the holes and there's no game plan to start that power running game, it's going to fail. So I'm really concerned about Buck Pierce being handed the keys to this very competent offense. I'm not going to say it was a very powerful offense. The Bombers had a great offense that could play to the situation that it calls for. And right now, they can't even do that. Not that I've lost confidence in Buck Pierce, but he has to find his way. Like, this is not an offense that's going to spread the ball across the field 20 plus yard plays down the field. Like, there's too many injuries, not enough experience, and the O-line does not give them enough time. But until they're creative and start using the heavy set with the tight end and maybe using some trips to confuse the other secondary, they're in trouble. So I'm putting a lot of this on Buck Pierce more than Zach Caleros, because dude doesn't have time to throw. Yes, he's missed some very easy targets. But at the same time, it's hard to set your feet when you're worried about your backside and getting smoked, because you know your O-line is not performing well. So Buck Pierce, you got to find a way to help that O-line, because they're not getting better. It's the same players that they have right now. They're not going to find some golden nugget in the next couple of weeks. They have to go with what they have, and you have to find a way to help that O-line. So I'm going to put a lot of it on Buck Pierce. That's my number one concern.
The O-line to me, though, I mean, Claros took some big hits last year, even with Jamarcus Hardrick, and I guess Jeff Gray in there as well. So yes, they haven't been good. I'll agree with you on that. But in terms of Colaro's getting hit, I mean, he took some good ones last year. But yeah, you're going from Eric Lofton to Hardrick. We even saw Stanley Bryant last year. He wasn't as good as he was. So now he's getting a little bit older. And then, you look at it. Look at the last play where Strebler throws the interception. It's an all-out blitz by Calgary. And for the most part, Strebler handled it okay, but then the throw is not great. But yeah, when I see the Bombers blitz, I never see them get to the quarterback lately, even the last couple seasons. When I see team blitz the Bombers, I'm like, oh, it's a sack or some kind of play that's not in the Bombers' favor. So yeah, they need some work, but it's 4 games. And like you said, we talked about it last week. They did not play preseason, this whole line together, which again, it's coming back to haunt them because you got 4 games in and they're still struggling to make the basic plays and give protection, open holes. Yeah, talk about Oliveira, man. That's a rough game for him last game as well. So yeah, this offense has got to pick it up because the defense actually has played well. Yes. They held Meyer to under 250, so got a little bit better. It was only 1 touchdown in that game for Calgary, right? So they kept this game in check, and they got a lot more starters and rookies back there than they do on offense. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's coming up here for Buck. But Paul Lapolice is out there. No, just kidding.
Why not? Richie Hall has a consulting position. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, if you bring him in for a consulting,
you have to help the O-line. It's ridiculous. Like, we know what the problem is. There's not a bunch of free agents that you got to go. So you got to find formations that help the O-line. It's ridiculous. Come on. This guy's not a rookie coach.
Nope.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with the Bombers possibly having to go 9-5, not possibly. They have to finish 9-5 to finish 500 this season. How confident are you in the Bombers making the playoffs on a scale of 1 to 10?
I mean, it's a CFL, so I could almost go 10 here, but I'm going to say 7. You still got the crossover. I mean, Hamilton and Ottawa don't seem great, so we'll see what happens this week when Bombers play Ottawa. If you lose again, then okay. But the Elks are still not great. They're 0-4. Calgary seems okay, but they struggled to beat a Bomber team that's very injured here. And now Harris is out for Saskatchewan, so I think there's still a great opportunity. It's a CFL. You can finish 6-12 and still make the playoffs. Will I be encouraged to finish 6-12 and make the playoffs, that they're going to win the Grey Cup? Probably not, but I'm still pretty confident that the Bombers are going to right the ship and make the playoffs at least.
Yeah, if they're hoping for the crossover, they're already 0-1 against Ottawa.
Well, I know that's why you can't go 0-2.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I got a 5. I think the Bombers can make the playoffs, and they need help. They need help 4 games into the season. I think they'll end up being 8-10, to be honest with you. And that could still get you in the playoffs, but not confidently.
No.
So I'm middle of the road right now. Like, I can see them making the playoffs just as much as I can see them not making the playoffs. They're starting horribly, and they're not getting considerably better.
3 of these 4 games have been close. A lot closer. That BC game shouldn't have been close because BC was controlling a lot of that game and 500 yards of total offense by BC, right? But Ottawa and Calgary, those were very winnable games. Like I was saying earlier, they would have won those games last year. Maybe not Ottawa. We saw them blow the lead against Ottawa last year, but these are games that they can win. And you're playing a full force team in Calgary while you're facing all these injuries, getting no pass rush still, and all that kind of stuff. So that's one concerning part of me for the defense. But yeah, I know there's still these games. You got Ottawa coming up this week. If you lose again to Ottawa and to follow 0-5, yeah, then might as well pack the bags.
Yeah, I guess it could be encouraging that they are almost winning at 0-4.
Yeah,
Lucky Whitehead may be heading to Winnipeg. Are there any other players? What?
That's it. That's an interesting thing to say for us Bomber fans after the last 4 years that we're excited about getting close to winning games.
I'm not saying I'm excited.
I'm not excited.
I'm telling the truth.
Not excited, but
That's not optimistic for me. I was saying that in jest. The fact that they're coming close is not really comforting to me in this situation. They still have long-term injuries, and other teams other than Saskatchewan without Harris, which we'll talk about later, are probably going to get better. And I can't see this team getting considerably better to make up those games there. That's why I'm a 5 right now. That's why I'm a 5. Lucky Whitehead may be heading to Winnipeg. Still hasn't officially signed yet as of the time we're recording this. Are there any other players available not named Jeffcoat or Oakman, because we've beaten the heck out of those names the past 2 weeks, that the Bombers should be looking into? Man, I just think they need to bring some veteran talent. And people are going to put me over the coals for this one, but I'm going to rehash some oldies. And it's not just because of what they bring on the field. What's Darvin Adams bring into? What's he doing? Bring a physical receiver like that in. Bring him as a third down receiver, but bring him in as a tough, a dependable receiver who will bring leadership in the room. Where's Ja'Gared Davis? Dude played minimal snaps last year, probably why he didn't get on a roll and into production. D-line needs help. Where's Darrell Walker? Put him in as a fifth receiver. Where's Jeff Gray? Y'all cut him, and the interior line is having trouble. Maybe he retired now and doesn't want anything to do with the team, but there are some veteran players with toughness and experience that I'd like to see the Bombers pick up. I'm not into these practice rosters. That's not going to get them better right now.
Yeah, you have options out there, especially if Dalton Schoen is out for the year. So you have his salary now that you can use, right? And all these guys that have gone on the 6 game, you have their salary to use. So there's plenty of salary to use there. I'm going to stick on the D line, and there's AC Leonard out there, who had a very good season with Edmonton at last year. I think 12 sacks, right? And I know there's baggage with AC Leonard, and he's a bit of a head case and all that kind of stuff. But that D line needs help. Willie Jefferson can't do it on his own, and I know those other guys are learning. Right, you got 2 rookies basically on your right hand side there, so or left, whatever it is. But they're learning. So you got that. Jonathan Kongbo. There's another one we've talked about him too. I know, another head case. I know these guys, they're not the most level-headed guys that I'm picking here, but that D-line needs help. It's got to get some pass rush. And it's got to get to the quarterback and disrupt them. So I'm going to go with maybe those 2 guys, but I like the list you gave too. Because and what's going on with Lucky Whitehead is even signing, because this has been going on for 2 days now.
Yeah, let's figure that out. But
when I first heard it, I thought he was signing. I'm like, hey, great, they need someone out there, because the receivers had some nice catches, but there was a lot of drop balls or guys not knowing when to stop on a play and make a catch and all that kind of stuff. Right? It's just getting used to them, and you can't rely on Dembski and Wolodarski to do everything in there. So we'll have to see some moves. Actually,
complacency kicked this team's ass this offseason.
It's hard,
really
though.
did. It really did. Like, I think, like, when you put 4 of your offensive players that account for more than a quarter of your cap, you're going to suffer in depth. And they weren't prepared with that. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, I love this team, and it sucks to be so negative about it, but they did not prepare coming into this season when they had a roster that's fully capable of being first place in the West right now. It just...
But what were you going to do? You couldn't sign Schoen then and Oliveira together, right? With Lawler and Dembski, right? So we were all excited when all those guys were back. But yeah, it was going to open some holes in other places for sure.
But the depth is not there.
Yeah, but were you really thinking, were the Bombers thinking, oh, we're going to get hit by all these injuries? I know you got to be ready for it, but Dalton Schoen getting hurt, Kenny Lawler, you're not thinking you're losing 2 of your best receivers right off the bat.
Yeah, but when you have 4 players that account for more than a quarter of your roster, that you're going to be bleeding in depth, especially if you get 1 or 2 injuries. You're not as strong as you were as the Bombers in 2019 or 2021.
Yeah.
They didn't.
They made a choice, and unfortunately, it's not the right. They made a choice, and unfortunately, it's not the right one right now. But
I agree. Loyalty and complacency are biting them in the ass now.
That's the one thing that it's hard to figure out what to do with a veteran team like that. Who you're going to cut? Who you going to bring back? Some guys you just gonna have to move on. But unfortunately, Hardrick got a crazy offer from Saskatchewan, right? So they were never going to match that unless you weren't signing Oliveira or Schoen, right? So,
or you make a tough decision and you release Stanley Bryant, and you give your reigning offensive lineman of the year the contract, which of course 2020 is hindsight. Yeah, we're just looking at hindsight. It's hard then, but it's some of those tough decisions have to be made.
Yeah, it's a learning process once you get there, right? Mm-hmm. They've never been in this position, this group together to figure out, hey, now we got to start petitioning or whatever I'm trying to say, getting rid of guys that that have been loyal to the team, have signed for less and here and there, right? They did it with Jeff Code, I guess, but. Yeah.
Big deal or not a big deal that Oliveira only had 10 carries? Of course, it's a big deal. That's your number 1 key cog in your offense. And for me, it goes back to Buck Pierce. The game planning is horrible. The formations they use are predictable. There's nothing dynamic about this team. They're not making big plays over 30 yards. And you can't have that when the secondary doesn't respect the run. If the secondary isn't looking into the backfield for Oliveira or for in the flats for the pass, and they have to just worry about coverage, then that's so yeah, it's a concerning thing for me. Not in regards to, oh, is there dissent in the locker room, la la la. That's not playing into for it for me. It's just in regards to winning and getting this ball in the guy's hands.
Yeah, it's a big deal to me too, the fact that there was only 10. But the fact that another big deal to me is it, and then again, this goes to the O-line, but too, Oliveira, man, only 26 yards on those 10 carries. I know he had 5 catches for 37 or something like that, I think, or somewhere around there, but that's not MOP numbers. 2.6 yards average.
No.
Ooh, that's rough. And even late in the game when Strevler came in and was struggling at first, to me it seemed like they were throwing way more than they should have been. The game was still close until they needed the touchdown at the end.
Yeah.
But like where was Oliveira? Where was the dump passes to Oliveira? Even on those blitzes, like get Oliveira out to the flat, like you're saying, and just dump it off to him. He's going to easily probably scamper for 10 yards. So
well, yes.
It's interesting to see what they're doing out there, and they're not using him to his full ability. Why are you paying a guy almost 250 or whatever it was if you're not going to use him way more than that?
Yeah. You just mentioned, why don't you dump it to him and get a 10 yards? I'm going to be devil's advocate. Late in the game, when they needed the play, they needed 9 yards for a first down. Oliveira was there. On a good day, usually Oliveira would get that first down. I can't remember exactly what, but he was on the sideline, doing this to his head. And there was just something that looked, he doesn't have that dynamic step yet. And I'm not saying he's still injured, but I think he just does not have the reps going in. He's the whole offseason off, going with a nagging knee injury. I think he's just behind schedule.
That could be,
of course, as a player, as a primetime player, you want it. You're saying, I'm good to go. Once I've been cleared, I'm good to go. Give me the load. But when you're averaging less than 4 yards a carry, that forces also Buck Pierce to make different decisions. I'm sorry, it does.
Yeah, because your O-line has to block and make holes for you, but sometimes you have to make your own holes and find your own spaces to get out of there. If you want to be one of the highest paid running backs in the league and all that, you have to make guys miss on your own sometimes, because not everything's going to be blocked perfectly, right? So, and like you're saying, this is only his 3rd game. And really, last game was kind of a half a game because he didn't start, right? So he's still working into it, and hopefully, it'll get better and better as the weeks go on. But we need more out of him, especially with all these wide receivers down.
And use him in the passing game a lot more. If you're going to give him 10, give him 10 receptions.
Yep.
What he has to touch the ball 20 times.
Yeah.
Per game for the Bombers to win.
Yep.
I will not go back on that. 20 times at least, with Schoen and Lawler out.
Yep.
What do the Bombers have to do on offense, defense, and special teams to beat the RedBlacks? On offense, we've talked about this. Find a way to protect the QB. For me, I've talked about this. You've talked about this. Bomber Nations have talked about this. Protect the QB, get the running game going. The O-line has to be better. Buck Pierce has to find a way to support the O-line. Heavy set, tight end, use it, kick Ottawa's ass. If you're going to go with a 5-man offensive front all game, the Bombers will not win. That's my offense.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it sounded like Claros was more precautionary that they kept him out of that game. So I'm assuming will be starting again this week. While Strevely looked a bit shaky when he first came in, that was a nice drive to end things off. So again, the guy needs some work if he's going to be your full-time quarterback or come in there and play anyways, right? But yeah, feed Oliveira, get him his 20 touches, get the guy in the game, get the guy into the season at this point. All these teams are going to come at the Bombers, right? They want to beat the Bombers. Bombers have been, even though they didn't win the last 2 Grey Cups, it's all about the Bombers, and the Bombers this, the Bombers that. So the league is gunning for them, and they're going to love it every time they can beat them no matter what. So the Bombers have to start picking up that intensity, and especially on offense. You can't be scoring 20 points or less and expect to win games here in the CFL every week. So. And
where's the Strevler package? What is going on? How do you not have 15 to 20 plays designed for this guy? Like he should be in the backfield 3 or 4 times each quarter at least. And you know what that help out? You know what that would help out with? Him coming into the game and being more effective later on. Because he's not coming in cold in regards to throwing or seeing the field. Just put these. I don't understand this coaching staff not putting these players in regards to the offensive side in the field in the best positions to succeed. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, especially those second and ones. Like where is the fake or the pass or the anything out of there to kind of just make teams start second guessing what's going to happen out there? Right now, it's just been
Yeah.
the dive forward and get it. Time to throw in some new wrinkles in there, so you got teams guessing what's happening.
And I don't mean to be so negative, and it's hard not being so negative at 0-4. I really loved seeing stuff from Strevler and Castillo post game in regards to taking accountability. Castillo had a great game, a bomber record field goal, but he still said there's this kickoff that I could, in regards to field, things like that have to be said. Accountability has to be made. It's not about, oh, we had a lot of time, there's a lot of season left. It's time to take accountability, each and every one. And that also bleeds down to the young guys. When you see the older guys saying, I got to get better, even though I had a great game like Castillo did, I got to get better. So
Yeah.
it's great to hear that. I'll be optimistic on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Defense, you got anything for defense? Ooh, I'm getting heated. I love the Bombers so much. It just hurts. It just hurts, man.
Like we said, the defense has been the better side of the ball so far this season. They've given up a lot of yards in some cases, but not a lot of points. So they got to continue doing what they're doing, get better, get these guys more comfortable. But that D line and that pass rush needs to start bringing some more pressures and some more sacks. Like they just got like Jake, no sacks this past week. I know Willie Jefferson had a knockdown, batted pass, at least one, but the guy's on his own while the rest of them kind of learn. I know there's Jake Thomas too, sorry, but yeah, get after that quarterback, and especially Drew Brown. You got to get after him and throw him off his game, because last time he had open receivers, wide open receivers to throw to and time to throw to. So they got to get at him.
That's the thing. It's not that the receivers were so awesome and you have time that they broke off. After so long, the coverage can only be there. They can only be there after so long. That's why in playground football, we have Mississippis and alligators, because we know you only have a certain amount of time to get rid of the ball, and they have to get in Drew Brown's face and not allow him to get in the rhythm. I thought the defense did a really good job, like you mentioned, against Meyer. No big plays over 30 yards. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a step forward. And the Stamps actually committed to doing to the running game, and the Bombers stopped them there. So no total hate on the Bombers D line, but they got to find a way to crush that pocket and keep Drew Brown in the pocket. They can't let the guy break the pocket. He's pretty good throwing the ball on the run.
The one thing that D struggled kind of with Calgary was the passes out to the flats. Like those are good for at least 8 yards, maybe more on a lot of those plays. So they'll have to be careful there. And shout out to Tyrell Ford for getting his first career interception as well against Calgary.
Did you see that? That's like a definition of the ball hawk. He broke on it and he ripped it away.
It's too bad Demario Houston ended that game with the Bombers of all guys.
What a horrible throw. He had Dembski just throw it to the deepest part, to the center of the end zone, and he had him. There's a panic there, and there was not a recognition that he might have gotten if he had more snaps.
Yeah.
Put a guy in late in the game and all out blitz. Good call by Calgary.
Yeah.
Good call by Calgary.
Big time.
Special teams. Oh, shout out again to Castillo. 60-yard bomber record from Bernie Ruoff.
Did he tie it, or was it the record?
58 by Bernie Ruoff.
No, that's it,
but Jameson Sheehan has got to get something going. He's averaging less than 40 yards against Calgary. Are you kidding me? And on the other side of the sideline, this Grace guy is averaging over 50 yards. I don't know what's up with Jameson Sheehan, but he's got to get his game on.
Yeah, I totally agree there. That's one of my points too. Because some of those punts were like, oh wow, and then you toss on a couple no yards as well, and that's just moving it down. But that's one of the other things that the Bombers may need to look at. If he's not getting it done, it's time to look at someone else and bring someone else in here. We can't be going game over game here and watching this guy not be able to average over 40 yards punt wise. But to me, I liked Chris Smith. He looked encouraging. He actually looked dangerous to a certain point where I was getting excited every time he had his ball, the ball in his hands. There was a couple that he almost broke in that game, that he was very close, kind of thing. So I liked him, and I hope to see more of him, because I was actually on the edge of my seat a few times, thinking he was gone. So it was good to see that.
I think he got to get used to the CFL field.
Yeah.
Like once he has a chance to break to the sideline, he goes right away without realizing, damn, I have a lot more real estate on the CFL field that I don't have to hit that sideline as fast. You can set up blocks a little more. And I think once he figures that out, I'm not going to
Yeah.
say we don't forget about Janarian Grant, but just saying, Bomber fans, put your comments in the comments section below and check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Let's go into quick shots. Thoughts on the Jets and free agency? Not much has happened. We're not very surprised, but at the same time, Sean Monahan is gone. So I'm saying maybe this is a sign for the youth movement. Maybe it's a time to let Perfetti really have a shot at 2C or Velarde, because I wanted to see that dude last year. Maybe it's time that Heinola really gets his shot, that maybe this is a philosophical change. That's the optimistic look at it, and that's the way I'll look at it. So not too busy. Maybe it's time for the youth.
Yeah, I mean, we're always talking about, hey, let the youth play, give the youth a chance, right? So we can't complain when the Jets aren't really signing too many guys in free agency.
Yeah.
Interesting, though, that they signed 2 goalies in Eric Comrie and Kaapo Kähkönen. And then they brought back Colin Miller on D, so we'll see if he gets played. That's another interesting one, too, because they didn't play him last year after they acquired him. So maybe Scott Arniel liked him more than Rick Bowness did, but I was like, what? So, yeah, we'll see what moves they make. But like you say, youth movement. And Chevy even said it in his presser today. It's a good chance for these young guys to work hard this summer and come in. I don't know if that was more of a shout to Rutger McGrady or whatever, but
yes,
you know what? It's like, okay, well, let's see. The youth want to step up. I know that they're probably going to sign a couple more guys here and there, but you weren't signing Sean Monahan for that. Brendan Dillon for $4 million to New Jersey doesn't seem that bad to me as a deal, but go with the youth. We got to see them play.
How will the Riders do without Harris?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Shea Patterson came in, what was he, 4 for 10, 14 yards when he came in for Harris. So not a lot to go off there. I'm not too encouraged off of that. They'll have to lean on Aju Olette, but they got the Argos, Lions, Bombers, and Owls coming up. So it's a tough stretch for Shea.
They're going to struggle.
Yeah.
They will struggle. Biggest transaction in the NHL this week? I'm going to go with the hype, and I'm going to go with what Trotzy did in Nashville. Stamkos, Marcia Soden, Ski.
Is that how you say it? Brady Ski?
Pretty big. I don't know if the moves really push the needle that much, but in regards to making noise, I think that's the biggest one for me.
I have the same thing here. Plus, they signed UC Saros to 7 years, or was it 8 or whatever it was, 7-something million. So yeah, big moves by Nashville and Trotz. But it's shocking to me though that Stamkos in Nashville. Like, are you kidding me, Tampa Bay? Like, you let this guy go? I know it's 8 million. It's a lot, but you just spent more on Jake Gunsel. So
then didn't they offer him like 3 point something?
Yeah, for 8 years or something like that.
Thoughts on the NHL draft possibly moving away from the centralized format that they have, which means that all the coaches, staff, management come to the location and draft, and they have the draft floor.
Yeah, as long so the players would still be there and all that stuff with the family and the stands and everything, right? As far as I'm understanding it. So as long as that part's still there, I like that, because I like the fact that they're there with their family enjoying this in the stands and they're coming down and taking pictures. I don't care if the GMs are there or not, but as long as they keep the players there and the fans in there as well, I like it.
I say it's good that they're getting one. Get the management, get them like in the NFL. Get them out of there. Leave the floor for the fans to have fun and get drunk and make it an event.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Bronny James being drafted by the Lakers? What a joke. This guy wasn't even the best player on the college team at USC that he played for, and that dude went undrafted. I feel bad for him. Like, he should have went to Europe, played a little bit, and then as a good dad, sorry, I shouldn't say good dad. My bad. I'm not a father. I should not. I'll take that back. Sorry. It has nothing to do with being a father. In regards to being overprotective of this dude's career, let him play in Europe. And then if he's ready for the NBA, bring him back. Apologies. That's very bad to say, questioning his fatherhood. I don't do that. But in regards to letting this kid play, not a good one.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about basketball or follow it too much, but drafting this guy in the second round sounds like a terrible choice. Did they do it just to keep LeBron in LA? I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know about the NBA draft. It's crazy because the guys teams make a trade for 4 future first rounders. So is the NBA draft really not that important? Really? Because I mean, you got tons of guys and you don't have that many on the team.
After the first 10 picks, really, it's more of a sheet than almost any draft I can see. NFL, if first rounder, you gotta be ready to start.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy. Or it's a waste. NBA, other than the first 10, you hope to score. Yeah. Who will have the NFL's most explosive offense? I'm going to go with Houston. They added Stephon Diggs to an already crazy offense with Stroud in his rookie year. Are you kidding me? And they added Joe Mixon, and people are like, oh, he's old. He can't pound the ball. He can't get 100 yards a game. He doesn't have to. He has to catch the ball, put up maybe 120 combined offense to help this team. So I'm going to go with Houston.
You know, I could be the homer and pick the Niners, but I'll do something different here and go with our Miami fans and pick Miami now that they got Tyreek Hill, Waddle, OBJ, Raheem Mostert on running back, who's, and what is his other, Kane? I can't remember. Kane. Pretty explosive running backs there too. So I can see Miami putting up some big points as well.
Shoot, so you think OBJ is going to have a factor on that Miami deep offense?
He will have a factor in that they have to account for him. I just don't know how long he'll last not getting the targets.
He should be like a Darvin Adams in Winnipeg if they brought him back. Bring him in for first down.
How old is Darvin Adams at this point? Is he older or
33? No, okay, 35 at the most. Yeah. Just bring him in for first down situations. Because some people are going to lock on Wolotarski now. The secret's out. This guy can't be an underrated receiver in this league much longer when Caleros has to go to him. So bring in Darvin Adams. Oh, wow, look at me petitioning to bring in the old guy.
Who are you wanting, Darvin Adams or Lucky Whitehead?
Both. There's room for both.
But if you have Lucky Whitehead, I mean, you let some of these other guys kind of develop at least, right? Because some of them would look good. I mean, while Wheatfall was looking good, but he got hurt.
Yes, but you can't. They're 0-4. They can't lean on the practice roster and guys who got injured during camp to make them better. They have to get better. They have to get better.
And quickly. At least it's not the NFL where 0-4 would basically mean you're done.
Oh, you're getting ready for the draft at 0-4. Yeah. Benny, you have a thing to say to our friends?
You know what? Just thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget, subscribe, follow, and hopefully the Bombers win this week.
Yeah. I don't mean to sound so negative this week, but this is rough. 0-4. Ugh. I don't comment on things for Bombers online right now. It hurts too much. I get angry. I start swearing. Oh, any which way.
Hold on now. You got a minute? Because like the NHL. Yeah. Let's go to the NHL, who today reinstated Bowman, Quenville, and the other guy with the sexual assault case from the Blackhawks and all that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on that one?
Let's end it off. NHL being the NHL.
That is crazy. Totally
NHL being the NHL. They do not give an F about putting people in positions of power who have let things go like sexual assault happen. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? These guys turn a blind eye and try to hide sexual assault, and the league wants them back in.
Yeah, and there's already possibility that Stan Bowman is going to be the next GM of the Oilers as well. So to me, that's a black eye to the Oilers as well, to just say, okay, let's go. It's the old boys club. It's right back in there, right?
Absolutely.
It's like nothing happened. Oh, you were done for 2 years. You took some programs. Well, what programs did they take? They didn't say anything. And to announce it today on all days, like it's thrown in the middle of free agency so that it just kind of gets buried. Like that's I know it's the NHL, but good God, they just, I don't know what the hell, they just do stuff. I don't know. I can't find the right words for it.
There are no words. These are the situations that the saying, there are no words, was created for, other than stupidity. And of course, stupidity and of course. Yeah. And the words, I can't, we're going to end off on this note. Like, let's hope the Bombers do win against Ottawa. Don't worry about the NHL and these mouth breathers who want to support these losers who have no problem with people being assaulted. The Bombers, they can do it. They can really do it. The roster is there, even with the injuries that they have. They just have to be creative on offense and protect the quarterback.
Yeah, again, I don't want to keep saying it. Long season, they can turn things around. They still got their veteran guys there, right? They still got their veteran coaches, guys that have been there for a long time. And I think that's why they're not panicking yet, although we want to see a little bit more out of them. I think that's why they're not panicking too much just yet.
Yeah. And in the words of Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.